took me a long time to learn how to take time for myself, because it's like, all right, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go to work. Then after that, I'm gonna check on my mom. After that, I'm gonna check on my sister. After that, I'm gonna spend time with my kids. Then I'm like, maybe try to have like, some time with my wife, you feel me? Maybe crack jokes with the homies, and by that time, we got to get up in 2 hours.
Welcome to the Shaping Freedom podcast, where we dive into conversations that inspire personal growth, transformation, and clarity in challenging times. I'm your host, Lisane Basquiat. Welcome to the Shaping Freedom podcast, where we dive into conversations that inspire personal growth, transformation, and clarity in challenging times. Today, I'm thrilled to be joined by Jason Petty, better known as Propaganda, an artist, poet, activist, and truth teller whose work spans music, writing, podcasting, and social commentary. Prop has a remarkable ability to break down complex political, social, and spiritual issues into accessible, thought-provoking conversations. From his powerful spoken word and hip-hop to his insightful podcasts like Hood Politics and The Red Couch, he offers a lens that helps us to make sense of the chaos in the world today, and chaos it is. His latest project, Terraform, Building a Better World, challenges us to envision a future rooted in justice, community, and hope that I'm still standing on. And in this conversation, my intention is to explore how art and activism intersect, how we can navigate the stress of our polarized political climate, and to talk about what it takes to hold on to hope and purpose when the world feels super heavy. Jason's voice is exactly what we need to hear right now, a steady and insightful guide through these turbulent times. Prop,
Hello.
thank you so much.
Are you kidding me, dude?
I really appreciate it. I know you're busy. I know you're talking about a lot of things, and I know that this month you're probably there's a lot of things that you can be doing, and I appreciate you taking a moment, 60 minutes to chat with me.
Happy to do it.
My audience about what's going on in the world.
I'm happy to do it.
Well, I guess why don't we just get into it?
There we go.
I think this is what, right?
Yeah.
This is what a lot of people are grappling with right now. There are a lot of things happening in the world right now.
Sheesh.
Including, some fires in LA and shitstorm in the country politically. People are mad. We're in a new year, and it feels like we are just entering 2025, and like we've been in it for a long time. And shout out to my grandson, Xavier, who just turned 18
today. Let's go. All right. You ain't got no grandson that old.
I sure do.
Let's
I absolutely do.
Let's go.
Yes.
Okay.
So, Prop, thank you so much for joining. I want to get right into it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So Here we are, as I just said, in the beginning of 2025. What are you observing?
Man, I mean, all the stuff you said, and first of all, thank you. You know what I mean, for letting me be on this and share some thoughts with y'all. My first thing I noticed was like coming into like the end of 2024, you usually see across like social media the like next year is gonna be my year, or like the meme of the little black lady with the bag of good stuff stepping over last year to like, I didn't see a single one of those anywhere. It was like, we were more like, okay, listen, let's
tread lightly.
Let's tread lightly. I ain't gonna speak nothing over. I don't want to like, listen, just be nice to me 2025. So, I mean, and I kind of felt the same way. I'm like, let me just, let me walk in slowly. Let me not just barge in. Let me just let's see what's going on. So I think that's one thing I'm noticing. I'm also noticing, I think that with that being said, that yeah, I think people are a little more, I don't know, like it's, I mean, I don't, it's hard to call them prepared, like a little more aware that like you have no idea what this year holds, and you just need to like make sure you taking care of yourself. Like that's what it seems like I've been kind of picking up on. And what's going on with me personally is like, okay, let's take it one day at a time.
Energetically, it feels very similar to entering 2020, where stepping into 2020, I was like, this is going to be the year. I'm so excited. Things going to happen. I was ready for 2020. And I feel that way and felt that way stepping into 2025, but I didn't like proclaim it quite as loudly.
Yeah.
Because, and I don't even know why. It's actually, I kind of regret that I didn't. I'm going to proclaim it now. 2025 is going to be okay.
We'll be all right. No, it's funny because like in 2020, January 2020 was the first festival I headlined, and it was in New Zealand. So it was my first time in New Zealand, and I headlined like a pretty big festival out there. And what was so beautiful about it was I didn't know I was headlining. Like I got there and was like, what time am I on? And they were like, oh, you're on about 9:45. I was like, man, that's pretty late. I got an hour set. Who's on after me? And they all looking at me like, no one. I was, oh, we're headlining? So yeah, so in January 2020, I was like, same thing. This is it. We made it.
Yeah. They saw me. They see me.
They see me finally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nah, man, I mean, election years are always such a roller coaster. I honestly feel like, we were just, at least for Americans, we're just exhausted. And then kind of like having to prepare ourselves for the 4 years we about to experience, like, I mean, I don't know if you saw our incoming president proclaim he wanted to change the name of the Gulf of Mexico to
the Gulf of America. Come on now, dude. Come on now. Enough.
Listen,
enough.
Sir,
you're not even Uncle Albert. You're just stop it. Just stop it.
I didn't vote for you, but if I did, I would have been like, I thought we asked for lower grocery prices. I could have sworn you said you was gonna close the border. What is you talking
about? Why are you fighting with Greenland?
Yeah, why you trying to buy? You trying to buy Greenland? It's frozen. Iceland the one that's not froze. Yeah.
What are we gonna do with it? Like what?
Are you? It's just like he's planning. Yeah. Yeah. I thought you said you was lowering our spending. I thought you said.
Oh my gosh.
How you gonna lower our spending and buy a country?
When you buy unnecessary
stuff. I know how I run my own budget, and I know I couldn't come tell my wife, right? Be like, hey baby, we gonna save money, but before we do, I'm gonna buy Echo Park. Like, you can't.
Yeah, but Echo Park, Greenland, I mean, that makes a little more sense.
A little more
sense. Just a tiny bit more.
Anyway.
There's a lot happening in the world, and we're laughing about it, and it is laughable.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, and also very stressful for people. Things are so polarized. The social climate is hard and overwhelming for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Whether it's fear and anxiety about what we think may happen, or the realities that we're faced with today. I think we need some words of hope, Prop, or something.
Yeah, man. I mean, yes. I think I can tell you what I tell myself.
Yeah, that's what we want to hear.
Yeah, is the resilience that is self-evident in the fact that we are still here. We are still breathing. We have already endured an incalculable amount of opposition, stress, pain. There's that's like, we have been here before, and I think that that's something that has always brought me, I want to say comfort, but calibration, of like, let me just calibrate, it kind of helps me from the like spiral. I always, pull from just the resilience of history, my ancestors, grandma and them, you know what I mean? And what they've endured. Um, and then there's like my academic answer. Like, you familiar with the thin veneer, theory, with for culture, or for society.
Explain it.
Yeah, so the thin veneer theory is essentially the concept that's depicted in Lord of the Flies. Is like, if the institutions that control society are lost, it's this understanding that those are the things that keep us keep us in peace. Is that we're actually just animals, and we are going to destroy ourselves if we don't have those institutions, right? To keep society in order. The problem is, just history has proven the opposite, and it continues to. And I think right now, like literally, like if you just know any natural disaster, what happens? Well, the FEMA can't get to you quick enough. Then your neighbors help you. I'm looking at a Google Doc right now in Los Angeles, which is on fire, of mutual aid. The Compton Cowboys, they're clearing out houses. You know, people get together and they help each other. And whether we were talking about Hurricane Katrina, again, when the institution couldn't get there, we took care of ourselves. You know, uh, Earthquakes, fires, tsunamis, we always we always take care of ourselves. So I think I continue to remind myself that, like, we have always been who we've been waiting for. We have always been who we take who takes care of us. And I just don't see, and I remind myself that now is not going to be any different. That uh it is not the institutions that keep us safe. We always keep ourselves safe. um and obviously I say that while not in Gaza. Like, I think that I also try to remind myself that, like, I'm also not in Gaza.
Right.
um but that being said, I am still, while fighting as hard as I can here, like, I'm still continually impressed by their resilience and and insistence on existing. And that's something that uh we should all pull from, and we should all cheer on, and we should all invest in. But yeah, so like, I think there's that I'm reminded of that. I think there's one more story. I know I'm talking a lot, but these are the things I tell myself.
We want to hear what you have to say. That's why we are here.
Yeah,
Talk.
man, I was at this, speaking of 2020, I was at this gig on the top of some mountain, just like asinine level of wealth, like, type people, at this thing. The folks that are like, you work for money. Your money don't work for you. Huh. Like that room, right?
Hmm.
And at the time, something was happening on, like, the border of, like, Syria and Lebanon. It was like a Kurdish kind of like situation happening, where there was, some, you know, insert any humanitarian crisis, like, happening right there. And I was discussing it with some of the people, and there was a young lady there who was clearly Arab, right? Who was like, "What are you guys talking about?" And I was like, "Bro, that's literally where you, like, this is your homeland. Like, how do you not, like, what are you talking about? What's happening?" And I'm thinking her wealth has, like,
Mm.
kept her from, like, being plugged in. I was like, see, money cooks you, right? Because she don't even know what's going on. This is what she says to me. She goes, "Oh, you don't understand. I'm born and raised in Beirut." She was like, my school bus was, the windows was blown out. Like, I've lived in a war zone my whole life. So that, like, jerked me into reality of, like, oh, I'm calling her the privileged one. and she's reminding me that, like, listen, while civil wars are happening, you still got to get up and go to work. And that's the life I've lived. And that, again, calibrating reminder of, like, we have been here before, and we can do this,
Yeah. I think that I like to look at what we can get out of how we can leverage challenges, right? And I think that this is an opportunity for us in this country in particular to rely on ourselves, to help each other, to
Yes.
find the ways that we can come together and pool our whatever resources we have, whether it's listening, talking, food, money, like whatever those things are, eggs, whatever, to really come together and learn who we are as a people outside of the politics that seem to be just overpowering and overshadowing every thought, every conversation. And at the end of the day, no matter what's happening, we all have to go to the grocery store together. you know,
Still got to go get them potatoes, man.
we still have to go get the potatoes. We're
Yep.
still, driving past each other on the street. We're still walking dogs, with our neighbors,
Yep.
And this is indeed the reality. And I think that it's important that we remember that.
Yeah.
Because when things like the fires that are happening in LA or what's happening, wherever in the world, when those things go down, we're not thinking about the news channels.
Facts. That's the last person I'm checking with. Yeah.
Yeah. Like we're not thinking about that. We're looking at each other like, oh, wait, you need this? Let me get you some.
What? Yeah.
Yeah. Who has what? How are we going to pull this together? I think that one of the things that is, that I really appreciate and feel inspired by is that you have found a way to speak to the culture about what's happening in the world in a way that breaks it down, in a way that languages it.
Yeah.
In a way that really resonates and helps us to understand what's happening. Because so much of it is just kind of out there. It's like it has nothing, it doesn't seem to have anything to do in some ways with our day to day. People just want to be able to buy eggs and feed their families and walk down the street and not get jacked up by a police officer. And, those are the things.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. What led you to that?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, because that's exactly what I was thinking. I'm putting this language to it now, like in hindsight, like, but so I wouldn't have called it this then. But I know now this is what I was experiencing. I found, lofty language was a vector of power and subjugation, in the sense that I'm speaking above you as if this is above you and you are not, on my level. So, like, don't even worry about it. Almost like, Black folks, stay out of grown folks' biz. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so,
yes.
And I am, obviously Black. And I think for a lot of my life, my father was a Black Panther. So, like, while I was super aware of, like, my role in society and chanting down Babylon and, feeling solidarity with suffering people everywhere, this was still a Black home. And, if your grandma say 2 + 2 is 5, you better let her figure it out. Like, you don't challenge authority in our, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that, Black children learn real early. You know what I'm saying? Like, that you
from wherever.
wherever.
I'm the child of a Haitian father and a Puerto Rican mother. Let me tell you.
Exactly.
Some of that didn't make sense to me.
Yeah. If I want your opinion, I'll give it to you. You don't. I'll, like, well, one of my friends was like, hey, what was one of the things you couldn't say in a Black house? And I was like, my opinion. Like, you can't say your opinion. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
Nobody cares.
then nobody ask you what you
Nobody
thought.
cares.
Nobody
No.
cared. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I feel like once I became, I mean, it's a long way around to get to it, but once I became an adult, it was like, if I'm gonna go buy a car and this guy says, oh, it's $2,000 down, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I don't have $2,000. I guess that's it. I don't know that I could be like, sir, you need this sale. So how about no money down? I'm gonna pay this much a month, or I'm walking out of here. I didn't understand that power because I thought this was an authority figure, right? When someone stepped in and said, bro, they want to sell you the car, you know, and it was like that, just quick, like, again, language, that quick language change of like, oh, I understand this more than I think I do.
Yeah.
And then it was like, just slowly but surely, I started seeing that, like, I understand more than I think I do. Right. So then once I started, you know, stepping into, like, once I became an adult and I started, you know, I started teaching high school for a while. And when I was teaching, I realized like a lot of the students, you know, were like me. They from neighborhoods I'm from, you know what I mean? They spoke how I spoke. But I had already gone off to college, and, you know, and I'd learned these other tools that I was using for myself to understand what I was talking about or what I was learning. So then I just kind of tried it, and just kind of, in the way that I told myself stuff, I would tell them stuff. And then that's when really, like, the whole concept of hood politics, it really just came from that. It was just like, actually, I think we know this. I think we know this already. You know, you meet a kid, man, I met a kid who, like, this kid was, you know, I was his teacher. He was late every day. About 15 minutes every day he was late. Finally, but he would always walk in with his homework, you know, so, like, he's clearly responsible. Turns out it's because his father was alcoholic, so dad was asleep, so he had to drop his brother off at school first and then come to school here. So I'm like, okay, so you're essentially parenting your little brother and your dad, and you're a ninth grader, and your grades are fine, and you trying to fight off the, you know, the OGs in the neighborhood trying to, like, put you on. His kid is navigating all this. I'm like, oh, this you're a foreign diplomat. Like, you understand, you could be Secretary of State, bro. Like all the stuff that you're balancing, knowing when to say and how to say it. Cause I know you playing me by the way that he will walk in on some, like, how you doing, sir? I'm like, why are you calling me sir? Like, I know you playing me. You know, I'm like, I'm not gonna mark you truant. Like, it's fine. I get it, you know. But yeah, so I realized that these things that are being said to us are said in a way that, in my mind, discouraged us from participating in, even though they are discussing our life. You are brokering my entire experience as a citizen in this nation, and while telling me I get a say into this, but then saying, but you're not smart enough to know how to actually decide what is good for you. So let me tell you what is good for you. And while we're obviously going, well, this is clearly not good for us, right? Like, I'm living. So it's a matter of, like, you know, it's a matter of empowerment. It's like they're discussing your life. They're discussing your life.
We're the siblings in the story.
Yes. You know, so don't let them people act like you don't know what they talking about. Because you do know what they talking about. And they talking about your life. And they only got jobs because we gave it to them. So I'm like, you're actually in power here. You know? Just like the car salesman thing. It's like, wait, I just realized actually I'm driving this conversation.
Do you know that we have a line of Shaping Freedom wellness products? Each are beautifully crafted and designed to support you in cherishing your mind, body, emotions, and soul. Carve out a sanctuary in your life with our Luxe sustainable yoga and meditation mats, essential oil candles, and more. Embrace self-care and reflection with every item, lovingly created to enhance your daily practice of spending time on you. Elevate your wellness journey with Shaping Sanctuary Collection because you deserve to feel balanced, nurtured, and inspired. Visit shapingsanctuary.com for more information. So how did you get there? So you came from a family that from Black Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
You came from a household like many of us that I'm assuming was somewhat authoritative,
Mm-hmm.
right? How do you or authoritarian? How do you remove yourself from that enough to be able to empower yourself to be in the driver's seat of your
Man,
life? Like how does one do that?
man.
Or how did you do that?
I mean, that is a question that might need some more thought. I think it was obviously a process. I don't know if it was a conscious process. I think the authoritarian nature of my home was also, you know, I'm the youngest of the family. I'm also the boy. So I think that for me personally, it was, one day you gonna have your own family. You gonna have your own house. So like for me, I was really raised to be independent, very much so. Which like I said was like, I guess that's the mixed message of it all. It's like we're preparing you to become the man of your home. You know what I'm saying? Um, while again understanding that you exist in a structure that does not want you to succeed. So I think that these were the things that was happening. Like this, the car sale example is like, that's a true story. And that story was a light bulb. And I was with my mother
Mm-hmm.
because my
Mm-hmm.
my mom took me to buy a new car, and because it was time for me to get a new car. And I saw her when the dude was like, oh, it's $2,000 down, pick up her purse and say, thank you very much. And then got up and left. And the guy was like, wait, now listen. And I was nervous because I'm the one that needed a car.
So wait, I need a car.
Hold
Yeah.
up, where are you going? But I'm like, but again, the authoritarian part was like, well, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna disrespect my mother in front of company.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I'm gonna follow her lead. If we leaving, we leaving. And then he sat back down, let me see what I could do. And then and then the dude left. And then that's when she said, he wants to sell you a car. You ain't gotta listen to him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was almost like this weird, like, well, I ain't gonna listen to him because my mama told me not to listen to him. And but yeah, that I honestly think that moment was a really, now looking back, was really a catalyst to me, to being like, I was doing, they were, like I said, they were very intentional about my independence. So it was like, I was doing my own laundry, I was packing my own lunch, we're working class. So I was a latchkey kid, I'm home by myself all the time. So that meant I needed to prepare a meal for myself. My sister and I are
Same.
my sister and I are 6 years apart. So by the time I was old enough to do that, she was running the streets. You know what I mean? So she was out with her friends, you know what I'm saying? So a lot just really fell on the fact that, like, if we are going to see a change, it's because I'm finna work for it, so that's kind of like, I think that was the journey.
Yeah. It's funny. I was raised also to be very independent. I was raised by my dad. My sister, brother, and I were raised by our dad in a single parent home. While we did have a very close relationship with our mom and saw her all the time, that's just how things wound up. And that's a story for another day. The point is that being raised by a single dad who worked really hard, that meant that we were latchkey.
Yeah.
That meant that he left really early in the morning, and he was like building his career and doing his thing. And so what that meant was that we got ourselves up, we got ourselves to school, we, came home, we took food out of the freezer to thaw out and all that great stuff. Right. So we were also raised to be very independent. while also having this, being raised by a Haitian man,
Yes.
which is very much like, this is
Man,
how it
in
is.
my past, in my past, I dated a Haitian and Belizean woman. And
Okay.
yeah, and her
So
daddy,
you got at least half
yeah,
of
I
it.
got
The
her
Haitian
daddy was the
Haitian dad
Haitian.
is a no
Yeah.
joke.
Dog.
Okay.
Like, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Woo. I walked in
Oh
there
my
with dreadlocks,
goodness.
and man, he had some thoughts. But
I know he did.
yeah.
And I'm sure he spoke them.
Oh, I knew everything he thought
That he
and
was
felt.
thinking, because
Yes. I knew all the,
listen.
yep.
And then there comes this point, or there came this point for me that I think I'm hearing you describe to some extent, where the reality of your life and the truth about who you are and this upbringing all intersect
Yeah.
and create this opportunity for you to decide what you're going to do and how you're going to bring some of that forward
Yeah.
and leave some of it behind.
Absolutely. I often think about like anybody, obviously you have children and grandchildren. You think about like the parts of your past, your child, your upbringing that you're like, I definitely want to repeat this. And then there's parts that you're like,
Nah.
absolutely not. Yeah.
We ain't doing that.
Yeah, we ain't doing that one, fam. You know what I'm
We ain't do
saying?
that for nobody. Yeah.
Yeah, that did not help at all. But at the
Mm-mm.
same time, it's like I always say, like, I'm like a first gen gentle parent. There are still parts of me that I'm like, little girl, yo, you gonna have to stop talking right now, little girl. You know what I'm saying? But
How old is your daughter? Is it okay to ask that?
I have a 9-year-old and a 19-year-old. The 19-year-old is
Okay.
my stepdaughter, but since she was 3, I've been raising her. So like, she's my daughter.
My kids are 11 years apart.
Yeah. Oh
Also.
yeah. So yeah. 10 years. So you get it. You in these two different worlds. There was definitely some like, which I don't want to derail the conversation, but there was definitely some like parts of the fact that my oldest daughter was in fact a stepdaughter, even though I was pretty much the only dad she knows. There was still a little bit of like, I'm gonna be a little more hesitant in like,
Yeah, of course.
my opinions and position. You know what I'm saying? Just to understand. But that second baby, that's different. Like, that one mine. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm gonna talk to that one a little different. But
Yes.
but
Yeah.
that being said, you're right. There was a a shedding that had to happen. But like, I think what was interesting for me, my parents they split when I was 14. But there was definitely this like, and I never thought about it till you brought it up, this like expectation of like, I'm sending you into a world that we know hates you, and again, does not want you to succeed. And we have done everything in our power to give you the confidence, the tools, the education, the game, the wisdom, whatever we could give you, that when you walk into this world, that one, you're aware, you know what I'm saying, that like, this is your situation, this is the monopoly board you playing on, and you're just gonna have to, you got it, you're gonna have to go do it, and bring as much people as you can with you, and that was, I don't, man, yeah, it was like, that's the message I got. I don't know if they were saying it, but that's the message I got.
Tell me about the bring as many people with you as you can.
Again, it's the Panther thing, that there is no success without us. Like, success comes in community, like, it was definitely like, what good is it if you get out and you get out the hood and the hood stays the same? Like, you didn't do anything then. We were also like, my mom was the Christian, you know what I mean? So like, the idea of like, again, your the degree for which your display of God's and the Holy Spirit's presence in your life, how you show that is your treatment of others. Like, I don't care about how many Bible verses I don't care about none of that. Like, how is your treatment of others? So like, that for me, idea of community and family, and like, yo, like, we're one, you know what I'm saying? Like, this, there's no success You can't succeed separate from the community. Like that doesn't exist. So it was always bring somebody with you. You know what I mean? It was always that. And it was also, again, the Panther side was like wealth attained, at least in the system we exist in now, requires you to step on other suffering people. You know what I'm saying? And his attitude was like, to the degree for which that can be avoided, to the degree for which you can leverage whatever access you have for the betterment of others, then you do that. But like, don't sit on no pile of money, because you got on that pile of money because your daddy fought for your rights and your grandmama lived through Jim Crow. You know what I'm saying? So like, don't think you got there because you did that. You know, like you
Don't
got
sit
there.
up on high.
Don't sit up all high. Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, so that sort of like was always in, like, I know I didn't get here on my own, you know, so that was always a notch. That's why I was like, you bring other people with you, because you ain't get here on your own anyway, you know.
How do you protect your emotional and mental well-being?
Oof, not very well, actually.
There's a lesson in everything.
Yeah.
So if you're open to sharing it, we want to hear it.
I don't have the toxic masculinity that's like patriarchal in the sense of like subjugation, and like I don't have that like one-upmanship, you know, soul mine's bigger, like I need to be the biggest, baddest, strongest. I don't have that. I have the workaholic version, you know, where a man's worth is what he can produce with his hands. You know, that's what I have. And then also being, like you mentioned, the child of divorce. I found this out in therapy that boys of single moms oftentimes somehow learn to minimize their problems, because what they mom is going through seems so much worse, and you don't want to add so much pressure on your mama. So you like, and you know, you hear things like, okay, you know, you got to be the man of the house now, you know what I mean? And I'm 14, like, you know, I'm not ready to be nobody's man, you feel me? And it's not that my mother said that to me ever, but I felt it. You know, I felt like, yeah,
it's your heart for your
it's
mom.
my heart for my mom.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I'm a protector. I'm gonna step up. I'm gonna take care of her. So that means when you become an adult, you meet a young lady, you trying to start a family, your whole thing is like, I'll be all right. Nah, it's cool. I'll take care of you. We'll let's get you situated. Let's take care of what do y'all need? Okay, word, I'll take care of it. Are you tired? I'll be all right. I'll sleep when I'm done. Like, you know,
you turn yourself into the invisible man.
You turn yourself into the invisible man. And it's very much a like emperor has no clothes type situation.
Every Black man that I speak to, whether it's on this podcast, whether it's people I work with, whether it's my friends, my family, my community, it's the same thing.
Yeah. And every beautiful melanated female soul looks at us and goes, you're only fooling yourself, man. Like, we can see it,
because we
can see it. You know what I mean? Like, you keep telling me you all right. You're obviously not, you know, and it plays out with being, you know, short tempered and, you know, and distant. And, you know, so, for the sake of having that beautiful melanated woman that's looking you in the face, is just like, listen, this is not how our house gonna go. You know, you're not finna do this to our kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, you need to go get help, you know. Find you a hobby. You know, I had a mentor tell me that too, that was like, man, find you a hobby that like you can afford to like be trash at, because it's not tied to your income. You know what I mean? Just find something that just like, it's okay
it's just a release.
Yeah, that you like, you suck at it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just take your time, and, you know, don't take no classes, just teach yourself, you know. And that's one thing that has served me well. You know, I have, which another thing boys don't do often is I have deep male friendships. Like,
Good for you.
Yeah, I got homies that like
Good for you.
that we talk that talk with, you know what I mean? And then lastly is like, she actually, like, my wife actually checked me because like this year she was like, you need to be more consistent with therapy. And like this year I was like, okay, because I would go sporadically. I would go like, you know, if something came up or if me and her were having issues, you know what I'm saying? But like, it wasn't like I am going to have my own standing meeting, you know, to take care of myself and all that stuff. But yeah, like that's one thing I've done. And I say lastly, like, you know, is I never, like, you probably, like every Black man says, is like you, to your point, is like, I don't ever, it took me a long time to learn how to take time for myself. Because it's like, all right, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go to work. Then after that, I'm gonna check on my mom. After that, I'm gonna check on my sister. After that, I'm gonna spend time with my kids. Then I'm like, maybe try to have like, you know, some time with my wife. You feel me? Maybe crack jokes with the homies, you know. And by that time, we got to get up in 2 hours. You
You're
know,
done.
I'm
Yeah,
dead. I
there's
ain't
no
got nothing
room on the
left.
stage for you.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
So like making myself be like, nah, you know, I'm take time for me, you know, to like honestly think about nothing, you know, or just keep up with the Lakers, like something that like has no redeeming value, you know,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
bringing those in. But yeah, that's all because I realized like I just minimized my problems for most of my life and just became the invisible man.
I absolutely understand that feeling of not of kind of minimizing.
Yeah.
You know, my parents lost a child, and so even through the grief that I and my sister experienced losing our brother, um, that paled in comparison
Mm-hmm.
to the grief that our parents
Yeah.
went through. And so when you said that about minimizing yourself, like I have felt that in a different way,
Yeah.
but I have felt that same thing and also have experienced the way that that actually plays out when it's unchecked,
Yeah.
you know, where, and I will just say openly, like therapy and all those kind of things. My parents ain't had time for that.
Facts.
I'm not
Facts.
saying they had time.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
had
Yeah.
time. I'm
But
just saying
no,
the
same.
approach was,
Yeah.
why do I need somebody telling me how to live my life? Like I
Yeah,
know how
I
to
know what's
live my
wrong with me.
life. Right?
Yeah. I know what's wrong with you. I'm broken. I'm
You
sad.
know?
Like,
HeraHub Carlsbad is a co-working space and member community designed to empower entrepreneurs. More than just a workspace, HeraHub Carlsbad is a business accelerator and a connected network of successful entrepreneurs. Imagine a collaborative, serene, and spa-inspired environment where you can thrive. Our unique community allows each member to be both a guide and a student, fostering leadership and continuous growth for both you and your business. Experience an uplifting, supportive atmosphere that will elevate your entrepreneurial journey. For more information about HeraHub Carlsbad or to schedule a tour, visit herahub.com/Carlsbad. We also have locations in Temecula, Irvine, Washington, D.C., and HeraHub Carlsbad is one of 3 HeraHub locations in San Diego, the others being in Mission Valley and La Jolla. You know, for me, uh, that really checked me in a way that was like an invisible check, because it started that programming of like, no, your feelings aren't as important because this person is going through something that is so much bigger than you just wanting something or speaking your needs or whatever the situation was that was going on. And that was something that I wanted to make sure that ended there.
yeah. That's good.
and not about the enormity of losing a child, because obviously that's
It's with you
a
forever.
different topic.
Yeah.
It was more about taking care of my emotional and mental well-being
Mm.
so that my
Yeah.
children got to experience someone who was releasing things, so that my children
Man.
got to experience someone who wasn't
Yeah.
emotionally and mentally burnt out and struggling on the inside with how to navigate my life.
Yeah.
Um,
That's good.
yeah. So I just wanted to share that. And I think that, and I know that for Black men, I see many, many Black men, as I mentioned before, who describe their life experience similar to the way that you
Yeah.
described yours. And I also hear the same thing from Black women who feel like, I have a Black man who is living in this world, in this country, that hates him.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to love him through the filter of holding him up. And by the time I get through doing that and parenting my children and doing whatever it is that I do to make a living and showing up in my community and showing up for my friends and being a caretaker and blah, 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 whatever that list is, there's not a lot of time left for me. And so I think that men and women, and I'm speaking as a Black woman, I can't speak for others. Um, I think we're grappling with a lot of the same things. Like if you get down to the crux of it, it's about, is there enough time and space in my world for me and my feelings and my emotions and my mental well-being? And the answer has to be yes.
Yeah.
Or, or things are never going to be any different, because I believe that we become empowered in our homes.
Yeah.
There are many ways that I was absolutely empowered for this crazy ass world in my home.
Mm-hmm.
And there are lots of ways that I was totally disempowered in the
Yes.
same freaking household
Yes.
for
Yes.
this world. I wasn't prepared. I
Yes.
wasn't prepared. I was like, what'd you
Yeah.
say to do? Okay.
Yeah. Word. All right. Yeah. Nah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good is obey, bad is, all that.
Yeah.
And so
That's powerful.
I think that we're talking about politics. We're talking about what's happening out in the world. And I believe that so much of that is, it starts at home.
Culture can only be as healed as we are, man. Like,
That's it.
it's really true. And I think what you said rang true in so many areas, especially about the Black woman thing, because I can say in my own life, I've taken so many cues from Black women in the sense that, like you said, when is there time for yourself? I watched Black women make time and just demand it and just be like, this is what we doing, and rather than, find that as some sort of like zero sum game, I was inspired by it. I was like, you know what?
Mm.
Why don't we should do that? Like, no, she's right. Like, that's, she's absolutely right. And I think what cracked that open is, the Nikki Giovanni, who we recently lost. I go back to, because I've always said my patron saint is James Baldwin. So I go
Mm.
back to their conversation,
Yeah.
when she was like, you lied to that cracker over there. When you smiled at him and said, how you doing, sir? She was like, come home and lie to me. She said, you, and he's like, I can't. He's like, yes, you can. She's like, yes, you can. You found it in you.
You put that smile on your face.
You put that smile on your face and you faked it for that man, knowing full well how exhausted you were and you had nothing. And I come in here, you come home and give me dregs. She was like, lie to me. Find it in your heart for me too.
If that's what it comes down to. Yeah.
If that's what it comes down to, but for me, that was the first time I really heard the point you're making, is that, because, when you're in the thick of the trauma, like, all I can think about is how I'm a black man in this world, and this is a danger. Yeah, we're endangered species. We are being hunted. Like, all I could think about that. So then when I come home, all I'm thinking about is the fact that I escaped the hunt, you know, without the capacity to realize, well, she being hunted too, you know, and like, and not, but I expected to be nursed to health, you know, but for her to be like, you're giving me nothing, dude. Like, you know, that, man, I feel like I will forever be indebted to Nikki Giovanni for that specific conversation of like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what we're doing. This is what we're doing to him. And she's right. You know, actually another way around it, like, she's right. And just hearing you say the same thing, I'm like, you're right. You're absolutely right. You know, and it's a matter of like, yeah, learning how to like be present. And I think one of the things, almost back to your original point, even about politics and going out into this world, is being like, I'm not going to let the world have all of me. Like, there are parts of me that I will reserve. You know, I will be like, nope, it's 5:00, I'm done. You know, here's the baton, you take it. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all got it. It's not just me. I need to have something in the tank when I get home, you know? Because yeah, like, we can't, if my home ain't right, like, how can I, like, what can I do? You know, if my home ain't right, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And because so many of the issues that we talk about later on, I know that so many of the issues that I wound up having to deprogram or heal from were not because my parents didn't love me. My parents loved me. I know that for a
Yeah.
fact. And I know I'm blessed for that. But so many of those issues were because I had people around me who were burnt out,
Yeah.
who were tired, who were scared, who were exhausted, who were trying to navigate this crazy ass country, the culture of this crazy country. And then we experience those things, and then we pass them on to our children, you know. And this is a totally different conversation than what I expected to be having with you,
Mm.
Prop. But I do know that the way to save the Black family and Black culture is for us to come together, for
Yeah.
us to understand how similar,
Yeah.
that we really are one, that we really are experiencing
Yeah.
the same thing, different facets of it
Yeah.
and different sides of it, but certainly the same thing. And if we have to heal the politics in our own lives.
Yeah. So
Go
good.
vote,
Yes.
you know. If
Yes.
you got to watch the news, but vote, right? If you got to talk about it, talk about it.
Yep.
And we got some politics going on in our own
Girl.
lives that we must, and we have so much more power, this disempowered state of like, oh, they're doing this and all of that. We got to deal with the politics in our own homes.
Yeah. You can't take it's like, you know, as far as like the, you know, capital P politics, it's like, man, you can't take your foot off their neck, man. Like, you know, like, you have to be like, no, this what we asked for. You gonna do, no, go back to the room. This is what we asked for. Don't come out that room till you bring us what we asked for. You know, I don't want to hear, you know, like, when I am teaching like policy like this, like, I give an example of, okay, so if I left the house and I told my child, I need you to wash the dishes, and then when I get back home, she shows me how well she vacuumed, she shows me, you know, how clean her room is, she shows me that she done her homework, great. Where the dishes at?
Yeah.
You know, well, we really believe that this clean bathroom is like, I'm let me stop you right there, baby. Let me stop you right there. Okay.
Yeah.
Go do the
Yeah.
dishes, you know? So like,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
feel like we need to like one thing I try to encourage people is to be like, don't accept when they tell you, well, we did this for you. I ain't asked you to do this for me. This is what I
Right.
asked you. You ain't do it for me because I told you
And
what I
not
wanted.
even acknowledging that you were asked.
Yeah, exactly. And you ain't even
Yeah.
know, like, so like, wait, time out. Let me stop you right there, big homie. This is what we sent you to that office for, you know? And I think for our homes, one thing that we learned in our counseling was like, for no situation to ever be, me versus her. It's us versus the issue, so like she's on my team, like why would I want to defeat somebody? You don't win an argument against somebody on your team. Like I can't win against you. Like I'm not against you. You're on my team. We are trying to solve this thing, whatever that thing is. And I have tried to take that same attitude of like, I'm not going to take my foot off that issue's neck. Like this needs to be like, we're going to do this. Sometimes the neck is my neck, cause I'm the problem.
It's me.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
This is my foot.
Yeah. Well, oh man. Got it. Yeah. But yeah, so I do, you're right. Was it I know Audre Lorde said it later, but there was Carol Hannish. Either way, it was one of the feminists that coined the personal is political, and I have like really took that to heart. I know she was talking specifically about abortion, you know what I'm saying? But like I know just the phrase just like stuck with me as like, you're right, like the personal is political. Like this is our revolution. It's here,
I want to make sure that that we answer a couple of. I'm going to do some rapid fire just to make sure that we actually address the things that I promised we were going to talk about, because we went.
I've enjoyed this. Yeah.
I'm glad. I'm really glad. Tell me about how you're using your art to give back to the world.
I love it. A lot of it has to do with like the content for which I choose to talk about. Like my goal is to always make things that are, of course, entertaining, because it's still art, and I do believe that there is a place for stuff that is just entertaining. Like I do believe that like there's a place for it. It's not what I believe my place is. My place is I'm trying to put that bee in your bonnet. Like I'm like, let me mix my metaphors, a pebble in the shoe. Like I'm going to bring to you things that you cannot ignore, and hopefully to put words to feelings that the people that oppress people can't find the words for. So like I'm gonna put those things to words, and then let that be that thing you can't ignore. I tend to try to make the heaviest, and this is one thing I do with my art, I try to make the heaviest topics, especially with music, the heaviest topics be the most catchy songs. Cause I'm like, I want you to run around singing this,
Exactly. That's what you want on repeat.
Yeah. Like, I had a song called Gentrify, and it's probably one of the funnest songs to perform, but it's like, it's such a fun song, but I am talking about the displacement of people. Like, I was like, this is a serious topic, so I'd say that it's that the main thing is like, I choose to elevate messages that don't necessarily serve to make me a star, that they serve to really like onboard, people to the movement.
And in the process, you can get your accolades.
And in the process is, exactly like,
why is it that workaholics are always like,
yeah,
I do all this, but I don't want to be acknowledged for it.
Yeah. And then the artist in me is like, but but I'm dope, right? Like, but
But I am dope.
I'm still your
Did you
favorite
see
rapper,
that?
right? Yeah, y'all.
Did you hear that?
You know, but your favorite rapper's favorite rapper. Like, yeah.
So here we are, beginning of 2025. How do you see this political landscape impacting our communities of color? And what do you think we need to prioritize? Where should we be? What should we be keeping? Which pedal should we have our foot
Yeah.
on this year?
Yeah. I definitely think there needs to be a sort of a attitude of like, well, obviously we can't look to the institution. So everybody just turn around, huddle up. Let's pool our resources and energy. What can we do for ourselves? Right. And like you said before, with that attitude, we can turn back to the institution and say, this is what we need from you. Now, if you do not provide this for us, we will find someone else. Period. We will find someone that, and it's probably one of us over here, you know. So to me, our focus needs to be, I don't need to get in. I already know Trump gonna do something silly. I already know he's gonna do things that are very damn. We already know he's a cartoon. He's gonna do cartoon things. I don't need to participate in that conversation. Duh. You know what I'm saying? What I do need to participate in is, what are we going to do when this happens? Right? How are we already prepared for, I live in East LA. We are already preparing for the mass deportations. Like, we're already, like, I'm in a Mexican community. Like, we already got plans. You know what I'm saying? So, like, so that I'm not caught flat-footed. I'm not just arguing about the things. We've already organized what we're gonna do regardless, you know. And then to push back, like I said, to say, like, you know, we will find someone else. But I think that there's a third level that I would really challenge us to do, is like, we need to spot some talent.
Mm-hmm.
We need to spot some talent that we can send to Sacramento, that we can send to Washington. Like, we need to be sending fools up there, rather than just waiting for them,
Waiting to see who pops
who
up and then
pops
making
up.
a decision that
Yeah,
we had
like,
no part in.
we had no part in. Like, let's build our own superheroes. They're there, which is like again, my dream of hood politics. My dream is somebody who is running for city council said, I listened to podcasts, hood politics was popping. I realized, I could run for office. Like, that's, to me,
Okay.
that is my dream. You know what I mean?
There we are.
So I'm like, find some talent, inner city kid. When I do work with the youths, and I tell them, hey, like, I remember this kid. I'm thinking about him right now. That I'm like, I have seen him say, hey, we gonna do this function on the corner of Normandy and Florence. He's like, I need 100 people to come. He just shot a text out, and I'm like, it's 300 people came. I'm like, you telling me off of one text you got 300 people to come to where the LA riot started? So I'm like, you have power. That's power. Politicians pay for that. So what if you said, hey, bro, I want these schools to have new science books. Text it out. I want 300 people to come here, because we're going to make sure City Hall pays for science books for our kids. Like, you have power, bro. Like, that's power. So to me, let's find talent,
I love that. I love that. And one thing that really resonated with me at the beginning of your answer is, take your eyes off of that, because that's a Jedi mind trick.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're going to invest time and energy, invest it into what we can do.
Yeah.
To find that talent, to support that talent, to encourage that talent. Don't spend like the news. It's like 7 minutes of information that is literally repeated,
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over again. Listen to Gentrified.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you
yeah.
want to, if you
Yeah,
want
yeah,
something in
yeah,
your
yeah.
head, put the right stuff in your head.
That's
Like pay
right.
attention
Yeah.
to the ways that we're being programmed, and don't spend your time and energy on things that are really entertainment
Facts.
and distraction.
Yep.
You know.
Yep.
Um, Last question. How can we support you?
Whew, man. That's also a great answer. One, I mean, obviously, like, yeah, like listen to the shows, listen to the podcast. The fastest, like, most tangible is merch. Is like ordering merch, ordering coffee. We sell coffee, like getting coffee for the house. And but yeah, and then like the things that are free are like, dude, like if you know, I hate the necessary evil of social media, but like when you click share, like it really helps.
Mhm.
So yeah, like if you see a piece of content that's dope, like, man, please, like, share it, like send it to the homies. Those things really, really, really help.
Prop, I want to thank you so much for
Man.
this conversation. And thank you for dancing. Thank you for going wherever it
Yeah.
is that the conversation took us, and for being willing to do that.
No, this was wonderful. I am honored.
I really appreciate it. And I know that the Shaping Freedom audience will appreciate it.
Man.
Um,
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm kind of speechless. Like, this is a really great conversation.
No, I'm honored,
and I talk a lot. I'm like, I don't even know what to say other than thank you. Really, just thank you, and have an amazing year.
Man, you too, man. And thank you. Same. I needed this. I'm so glad we did this.
A special thank you to Prop for showing up for this podcast and for having what I am still a buzz about. It was a great conversation that I appreciate so very much. Thank you, Prop, for bringing your heart, for bringing your insight, and for bringing your energy to this conversation. I encourage all of you to please follow Prop online, prophiphop.com on the internet, Prop Hip Hop on social media. Please also listen to his podcast, Hood Politics, and be sure to tune into his audiobook, Terraform, Building a Better World. I just want to thank him again very much for an amazing conversation, and thank all of you for continuing to listen. Please like and share this episode if it touched you in any way, and Happy New Year.